Hello guys, welcome back to our channel We Are Growth Hack, and today I'm here with a new friend and a very old and good friend, Meghla and Margaret from India Sourcing Trip. Hello girls, welcome.
Hello, how are you, David?
I'm very good, thanks. Where are you calling from?
Well, I'm in Singapore.
And I'm in Geelong, just outside of Melbourne, in Australia.
I've personally been a guest at Meghla's shows quite a few times, and I'm very excited to have Meghla for the first time on my YouTube channel. She's been writing amazing content for our blog, how to source from India, how to deal with some of the issues that you might have sourcing from China. So India is definitely a very good alternative, especially right now. And for the first time, I'm talking with Margaret, who is partner with Meghla for India Sourcing Trip. So Meghla, why don't you introduce what is India Sourcing Trip and what you guys can do for our listeners. And Margaret, maybe you can tell us more about what you do for India Sourcing Trip.
Definitely. So India Sourcing Trip is basically an 8-day guided sourcing trip for Amazon sellers who want to source private label products from India. We started this trip in 2019. We did the first trip in October 2019. And then, of course, the pandemic hit and all trips were canceled. So in 2020, we've kind of expanded this virtually, and we're now doing Virtual India Sourcing Show, which is basically a live show, a live webinar that we do every month where we interview vetted export manufacturers from India. And basically they come on the show, they talk about their companies, their stories, they show products, and people can also ask them questions. And the next step for us is India Sourcing Network, as you can see the logo this side.
I'm in my head.
So, yeah. So basically we want to expand our services and offer all sorts of services to help people source from India effectively and safely. And we are launching this India Sourcing Network, which is going to be a website that has all of the different services that you need to import products from India. So whether it's suppliers, freight forwarders, sourcing companies, sourcing agents, quality control, everything under one roof. And we'll also be including some educational material over there. So we're launching a course to teach people how to source from India. Then we'll also have a mastermind where you can network with like-minded people. So basically, the ultimate objective is to help people source private label products from India for their Amazon and e-commerce business.
That's super cool. So you pretty much walk hand in hand with your adventurers, starting by sourcing, visiting factories when this is possible, or networking online. So this is really good right now because traveling is something that we can't really do at the moment as we used to do just a few years ago, just until the beginning of last year. I remember this was a big deal at the beginning of 2020, so we have to adapt here. So Margaret, how did you join Meghla with India Sourcing Trip and now India Sourcing Network, and what are you doing with this whole amazing business?
Well, we were just so lucky. We actually met Meghla virtually 2 years ago now when she was starting to look at doing the first India sourcing trip. And we'd actually been sourcing from India for a couple of years before that. So, we'd been sort of dealing with one supplier and had a really good experience. So it started there. And then she said, do you want to come on the trip? And we'd been to our factory on the way. So we sort of did the trip. And then we had a great year planned for last year. We were doing all sorts of things. We had, holidays in India as well as the trips. Life was going to be great. And then, of course, COVID hit. So we were sort of sitting here going, God, what are we going to do now? Because we had all these people who wanted to find products. So we started the virtual show, found suppliers. And look, it's so much fun. I had such a ball last year meeting because I'd even sometimes just cold call a few suppliers and, sort of interview them. Some of them were suitable, some weren't, because we'd actually, ask them to show the factories all their paperwork and vet them and go through things. So that was really exciting. And just learning, we'd get off the call and go, they're all so lovely. We hadn't really come across a supplier yet that we went, we wouldn't like to deal with. So, that was a really great time. And then I think we just started off doing more and more training and people kept asking more and more questions. And so now we do like the Wednesday webinar and the Monday musings and we're doing training courses. And so my retirement sort of changed. with my little part-time Amazon business.
That's amazing.
You're busier than before.
Yeah, and my partner Kevin, he does a lot of the work too. He calls himself my VA. But he's VAs at the golf club quite a bit. So when he's here, he does a lot of the work on the Facebook page and asks a lot of, does a lot of the answering the questions and things. So he's involved as well. So it's good.
Okay, so you guys have a Facebook group, I believe. I think I'm part of the group, so we'll invite everyone to join the Facebook group down in the comment section, in the description. I think you guys also have a Facebook page and a website. We will link them down definitely. So Margaret and Meghla, I want to ask each one of you the same question. Tell me the top one benefit for you, Margaret, to sourcing from India. Why did you start sourcing from India? What kind of problems did it solve? Why you didn't source from China all at all?
Well, look, we actually didn't intend sourcing from India. We were sourcing from China, our first products from China. And I mean, no, China-centric stuff, not a lot of margin, a lot of copycats, our factory copied us, you know the story. So we were on our way to Canton Fair and we stopped over in Hong Kong for a couple of days and went to the mega fair, just was near our hotel. And walking through there and we stumbled across this stall and I just went insane. Like I didn't leave it. We were there for 3 days going back and forwards with these products. And I said to the guy, look, I need to go and look at this on the internet and, see what we can do with these products because I had no idea whether, anything like this was really on Amazon because we hadn't gone down that sort of rabbit hole. And, yeah, just decided that we loved the products, the quality. And from then on, look, the supplier is like our family now. We've actually seen our suite when we go back to his factory next time. We've got to stay at their home. And, like, it's a completely really a family affair. Like, their daughter got married and we've got all the, family photos and we speak. It's sort of more a family than just a business relationship. And look, their quality's good. There's never an issue if you want something. It's whatever we can do to help you. It's not just about making money. It's they want to build a relationship. And, we've sort of, I suppose, taught them about Amazon and showed them the truth of, look, I'm not making a fortune out of this, because you're selling this and they know they check the internet all the time, check our reviews, make sure any, thing that comes up in a review they can address and really do all that. And so I think they just care about the business and they want us to grow so they can grow. It's not... it's a completely different sort of setup, I think. So, yeah, I mean, to me, that is the best benefit. And, we've now done another brand through the same factory and just, I'd find it very hard to go somewhere else. If I found another product with another supplier, I don't know whether I could move.
Can I ask you, before we jump into Meghla's answer, what kind of product are you selling? Are you sourcing with them? I think our listeners are very interested in what kind of product category.
We're in home decor. We've got 2 brands. One is metal. And the other is now I've gone into mango wood, which is very big in India and a beautiful wood. I'd never seen it until we actually went to the factory when we were over there last year or the year before. And, fell in love with the wood. So I've now developed some products around that as well. And we've got some metal combinations and stuff because the father's actually an engineer. So any ideas I come up with, I'll just sort of say, do you think you could do this? And they make things that are truly unique. And I think that's the benefit of India is you're probably not going to get someone copying your product because it's going to be very hard, for them to copy exactly what you've got because every factory does something more unique.
That's amazing. How about you, Meghla? What do you have to add to this?
Well, I think one of the benefits is that you can get low MOQs in India, whereas if you're sourcing from China, then 500,000 pieces is the bare minimum that they will accept, and many times they won't even talk to you if you're talking if you can't meet their MOQs, right? But that's not the case in India. You can order as low as 200, 300 pieces as well if you just want to test a product and see how it will do on Amazon. I think that's a big advantage. And if you're new, you're just starting out, maybe you don't have that much capital to invest. So starting small really helps in that way as well, because, you don't have a lot of risk as well in one particular product. Whereas if you're sourcing from China, you're putting a lot of money in one product. And what if it fails? There goes all of your money down the drain. Another thing that you can do in India is that suppliers are very flexible when it comes to, order quantities. And sometimes they can also accept a minimum order value. So for example, they'll say, okay, you can source $2,000 or whatever, $5,000 worth of product, and you can mix and match and source multiple SKUs. Now that I think is really good, very beneficial for Amazon sellers, because that allows you to source multiple SKUs, smaller quantities, but at the same time, you have, for freight, you have a lot of different products so that it makes sense to ship the products. I mean, it's still competitively priced in terms of the shipping. And, that allows you to test multiple SKUs, right? And you see what really sells well, and then you scale gradually. So I think that's really beneficial, whether you're a new seller, you've got small capital, or even if you're experienced and you just want to test products before you launch them.
Yeah, definitely. I was right in a Clubhouse room a few hours ago. I just wake up, have my coffee, I open Clubhouse. One of the issues that that especially new sellers have is that they have this inbound limitation. They cannot ship more than 200 pieces on FBA. And then when you have a factory that is asking you for a MOQ, 5,000, 10,000 pieces, what do you do there? So you just don't start, or you keep thousands of pieces, in stock or waiting, to be delivered to FBA. So this is definitely something really good to look into. Okay, I definitely want to interview you here because I want to break some myth. Okay, I think, our listeners probably think, okay, India, I don't know. I don't think so. I've never been there. I don't think they can cope up with quality from China. So I want to ask you, the first question is this: what kind of categories of products is best to source from India? And how can we make sure that the quality is really very good?
Right. So in terms of the product categories, there's a very wide range of product categories. First of all, I'll tell you what you cannot source in India. So if it's something that's made of plastic or, plastic injection, those kinds of things are produced in high volumes, like plastic widgets. Those are better sourced in China because they have larger scale production facilities and lots of different factories there. So if you have anything like that, it's better sourced in China. Electronics is also better in China. But other than that, India has a lot of different categories, especially in the home products market, home and gift products. So there are a lot of different products made from metal and wood. That's one of India's specialties. And also in terms of, Amazon sellers, those are products that do really well. So could be anything from, like home decor items or home use items that are made from metal, wood, also marble, glass, all of these different materials, more of the naturally occurring materials. Those are kind of better in India. The other big category is fabric-based products. So you have things like home furnishings and, like carpets, rugs, cushion covers, bedspreads, bed covers, those kinds of things. Then you have apparel. Apparel is, in fact, one of India's biggest export categories. And you can find anything from knitted garments to, woven garments to wedding dresses to silk, cotton, lots of different materials. Cotton is also one of India's strengths. In fact, India is the second largest producer of cotton. So you'll find that anything made from cotton is very competitively priced in India, specifically organic cotton. There's a lot of good variety of organic cotton available, and it's cheaper to source from India than from China. Also, other categories you find are eco-friendly materials like jute products, for example. That's really big. And things like, macrame products, those are very popular as well.
Huge.
They're huge nowadays, yeah.
Sorry, what did you say? Macro what?
Macrame. Macrame.
What is it? Can you explain?
It's basically a craft. Yeah, crochet, you could say. Oh. And it's very popular nowadays because, people are at home, they don't have anything to do. So they've been producing these products. And then there's a demand for them on Amazon as well. And now they are, like macrame kits as well.
Oh,
like DIY kits.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
those kinds of things. Yeah.
So I understand pretty much that India is an amazing sourcing market if you're looking to source products that could be potentially made in China, but you want to use a higher quality material that is more organic, that is probably made in wood and cotton. So you can actually target a higher kind of customer, a higher spending customer. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
And look, there's things like leather. I mean, they do some magnificent leather products, the handbags and wallets and things that we've seen made out of leather, and it is really, really high quality. And I think something that a lot of people don't understand is the tariffs, obviously, that you pay when you're going from China into the US is like 30-40%. Depending on the product, but it's around 2.5% to 5%. So if you're sourcing something from China for $10, you can source something and still pay like $13 for it, be in front, and the quality is miles apart because it's, well, everything basically in India is handmade. Most of the things are handcrafted, so nothing's really produced on a machine. And I tell this story a lot. We have some like stainless steel like cutlery pieces and that, and we actually went to the factory and went and watched them work. Well, instead of them putting them through a machine 1,000 every minute, the man sits there, and I feel so bad every time I do my order because he sits there and it takes him about 2 or 3 minutes, and he physically does each piece one by one with a cloth and some little things. So it's a very time consuming products. And if you have a handle, say, a handle on a cup or a jug or something, and it's all shaped, they actually do each one and they'll bang it out and shape it, each individual one. None of it's like just bang, bang, bang through, a sort of machine. It's so much hand production. And I think that's where you get the uniqueness and the quality.
That's amazing. It sounds really, really good. And something that I hear right now is that there is an increase in demand for handmade products on Amazon. There's a whole new category, I think. There is only an handmade. I'm not an expert into that. I've been hearing some content, but I would definitely say look into that, and also look if you can, source your product from India and be allowed to actually put handmade in your title. That would be really, really interesting because it's something that is getting bigger right now. So this is really good. Meghla, let's get back into the quality issue. How can we make sure that the quality is very high? Do you have some quality standard in India that you have to reach, some certification? What would you say?
Well, the certifications depend on the country that you're importing into, right? So the US, Europe, those countries will determine the certification of the product. So I think in terms of managing quality, there are a couple of different things that you want to make sure. First of all is you want to make sure that you're selecting the right supplier. That's the number one and most important thing, because in India, there are lots of suppliers that cater to the domestic market. And those suppliers might not be familiar with the quality standards or certifications, regulations of overseas markets. So you want to make sure that you are dealing with an export-focused supplier, right? That's number one. And the second thing is that, a lot of times in sourcing, quality is in the hands of the buyer. Whether you're sourcing from China, India, or elsewhere, it is up to you as a buyer to specify what kind of quality level you want in your products. So you have to communicate your specifications to the supplier very, very, very clearly and outline each and everything in your product. For example, if you're sourcing, let's say an apparel product, you want to check, you want to mention, like, for example, the stitching, what kind of stitching do you want, what kind of zippers you want, the button quality, and, all of those things need to be specified very, very clearly. And then you also need to make sure that the supplier understands each of your requirements and they can actually, carry out those requirements or those specifications as well. So you sit down with them, maybe do a Zoom call and go over all of your requirements one by one and make sure that they accept it. And then also you want to make sure that you are, keeping an eye on quality throughout the production process. So you can't just place an order and then forget about it. You have to keep in touch with your supplier and, keep checking with them. Hey, what's going on? Is everything on time? Are there any issues? Just kind of keep communicating with the supplier on a regular basis. And then lastly, I would say third-party inspections. That's something that you should not skip, especially if you are scaling and placing large orders with a supplier. You also want to do a pre-production inspection and maybe a midline inspection and also a shipment inspection. Usually most Amazon sellers would just do a pre-shipment inspection, which is the last one. And that's, still better than doing no inspection at all. But if you're placed a large order, then sometimes even that's too late to fix major issues. So those are some tips.
I heard someone saying sometime, because you're talking about constantly checking on the quality while the product is in process, even to jump on a Zoom call or, a FaceTime call with your supplier and ask them to go around the factory and show you what's going on. I mean, does this happen in India? Would you say so?
Margaret, definitely. Yeah, look, we sort of, especially if we're doing a new product, we've just done a couple of new products that we sort of were just working on because we couldn't fly over and do the final thing. So we'd just jump on a Zoom call every couple of weeks and he'd say, look, I've done this next thing, I'll show you, what do you think? And we always just have a look at our products as they're being made, just with Zoom. And I find it's so much easier because they're quite willing to use Zoom, and the language is I find it's much easier to understand them than speaking to the Chinese. So you don't sort of have that communication issue of, trying to understand, and communicate. And when you can actually point to something and, say, well, turn it over, I want to have a look again at the other side, and that, I just think all that helps. But I just think that being able to do all that, will get your sample. So we only ever usually get one sample, because instead of, getting it and it's wrong, you can virtually see it, and they'll put the tape measure, get your tape measure, put it down the side, make sure I can see how wide it is, so I can visually look at it all too. So all those things just help. So you can save a lot of money in doing, 2 or 3 samples till you get it right, if it's a new design or something, by just, using that sort of communication. So I find it great.
That's amazing. So, because, I always want to approach this from a newbie point of view. So I'm trying to ask you as many details that would potentially, push our listeners here to get in touch with you. I just want to make it easy. So why don't you explain to me, to us, how would the offline India sourcing trip look like in those 8 days? What do you offer? What the final user will come back home with, and what does the sourcing network look like instead in the online event? So could you pick one and describe us how does it work?
Absolutely. So India sourcing trip, so that's an 8-day trip, and there are 3 things that we focus on India sourcing trip. First is learning, second is sourcing, and third is cultural experience. So learning, we do a full day conference at India Sourcing Trip, and we teach people how to source from India. So things like finding suppliers, vetting suppliers, negotiating, quality control. Like it's almost like a crash course in sourcing from India. And we're just, sitting in a conference room from morning till evening, and we have different speakers coming in and, sharing their knowledge and expertise. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is sourcing. So we visit a trade show in India known as the Delhi Fair, which is one of the most important export-focused fairs in India. And we spend 3 days at the fair, and we do guided tours for all of the sellers. And then we also have coaches who travel with the group. So we have coaches from the US and Australia. So Margaret is there, Kevin, Chris Thomas from Australia, Gary Huang is one of the coaches. Tim Jordan is a coach as well. So all of these coaches travel together with the group, and they basically help them, guide them to select products from the trade show. And we also have sourcing related coaches, so sourcing agencies and other experts who teach people how to talk to suppliers, how to gather information at the trade show. Because when you're at a trade show, it's very easy to just get lost and just roam around and spend so much time without actually being productive. But you have a limited amount of time. So navigating a trade show is a really important skill as well that we teach people. And then we visit a couple of factories as well when we are there, just to give people an idea of how production works. And then my most fun part of the trip is a Bollywood night. And so basically in the evening, we spend one evening where we invite a dance troupe to do a dance show. And we also get, the attendees to wear Indian dresses and maybe a sari or put on turbans or henna tattoos. and just kind of experience Indian culture a little bit. And then we also go to Taj Mahal. Of course, Taj Mahal is one of the 7 wonders of the world. So it's on people's bucket lists, right? So we do a day trip to the Taj Mahal. We go early in the morning in a bus and then come back in the evening. So yeah, I mean, that's what the entire trip kind of looks like. And it's basically an all-inclusive trip. So once you sign up for the trip, all you need to do is arrive at the Delhi airport at a certain time. There'll be somebody to pick you up at the airport. And after that, everything is taken care of. You don't need to worry about, the food, transportation, hotel, everything is included and taken care of for you. Even SIM cards, we also buy you SIM cards so that you have data.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I guess if you will add a trip to Goa in the meantime, I will join for sure. that has been my top destination on the list, on my bucket list. I still haven't been in India. I really want to come. So probably the next one I could join you if you add Mumbai or Goa. That would be great. So how about the sourcing network?
Yeah, so India's sourcing network is something new that we are starting, and it's going to be launched soon. So, we started with the trip, and then we diversified into Virtual India Sourcing Show. And that now India Sourcing Network is sort of the next level. So basically our objective is to help people source products from India and to build their private label Amazon businesses, sourcing products from India. That's the whole objective. So with India Sourcing Network, we're going to provide all of the services, the information, the knowledge, the expertise, the connections that people need to do that. And so, we've got suppliers on the website, all service providers, whether it's packaging companies, freight forwarders, QC inspection, everybody there. And then we've also got the course, Mastermind. And we're not only going to focus on sourcing related content, we're also going to be covering things like PPC and listing optimization and, insurance. Now that's going to be an issue as well. People are talking about that after emails going out from Amazon, and payments. So basically our idea is, okay, you can build a solid, profitable, private label Amazon business sourcing products from India, and we will help you do that. We'll teach you how to do that. So that's our, that's what we're doing with India Sourcing Network. And Margaret, do you want to add something to that?
Well, yeah, look, I think for people starting out, it is very daunting. And, I get quite a few people approach me and they just have no idea where to start because I class it as doing a university degree during Amazon, really, because you've got to know how to deal with supplies, you've got to know how to source goods, you've got to know what box dial-ins are, packaging, shipping terminology, before you get onto that Amazon wonderful, easy to drive software program. So there's a lot, you've got to learn how to do images and all those sorts of things. So, there are a lot of things that you've got to learn. So I think if we can sort of help those people step by step on their way through, because to look at that whole sphere of things you've got to learn and read about it in one hit in just some course, it's very hard. So I think if you can do one little mastermind on something, and then when you've finish that for your next step, you can move forward and just slowly learn it, because I think a lot of people tend to give up or just get lost on the way because it becomes too difficult, especially if you're on your own. I have a lot of people who don't know anyone else who does Amazon, who might live remotely or something. And I find that very difficult because I've been lucky. We've always had networks of people and, friends who do Amazon. So it's been really good. But I mean, we put ourselves out there to do that in the first place. But if you just sort of sit at home and don't get out and about and have some communication, I just think you would just put your hands up and go, it's too hard for me. So we're trying to break that down into sort of, I suppose, segments for people and not make it so daunting.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. It's literally guiding them through the whole process from zero to, having your product running on Amazon, optimizing the listing. This is really important. So you can also provide information with a lot of speakers and experts on how to market your product, how to make images and PPC. So this is really great. What would you say before we close up? Because we always keep those videos very short and we make sure that people can contact you at any time. What would you say if you have to wrap it up? What kind of people should get in touch with you? What kind of problems you can solve for them?
Well, look, I think people who probably are just starting out and looking for a product, it's a lot better opportunity, I think, in India to be different. I mean, you can go onto Alibaba and you can find, a cup or a bowl or something, and there's, 500 people making the same thing. If you can, get in with us, and we do the sourcing shows, each month, and there are so many different products from different manufacturers, and every manufacturer has something different. They're not the same. So you'd never go to a factory and get the same product. They might be, you know, the same jug or candle holder, but they'll be totally different in the way they're made or their ideas. So I think that it's a great opportunity. And to me, your brand story, made in India, handcrafted, and the backstories, because there's a lot of, some of these factories go back to the 1800s, or there's women working in villages, and all that sort of stories that you can sell your brand. It's part of the whole brand story. It's not just, you know, made in China. I mean, what's your brand story? Yeah. So I think that's one of the best things. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I would, you know, just add to that, that definitely you find unique products in India, but come to India to, you know, for the strengths that are special to India, that are unique to India. Don't come to India having expectations that you will, you know, get similar products that you get in China. So come to India for the products that are unique to India and that are special to India. India is different from China. It's not the same kind of product. They are comparable, but at the same time, you know, India has different strengths, and come to India for those strengths.
Definitely. So me personally, I've helped a lot of sellers on Amazon who were actually sourcing from India already, leather products and clothing. Yeah, actually one of my clients, he actually is the owner of a clothing brand from Goa. This is also why I reminded that, yeah. And biodegradable, you know, cutleries and any other kind of accessories. So this is really good. So definitely look into that. So Meghla and Margaret, that was amazing to have you here for the first time in my show. And I guess that I hope that you will have a lot of inquiries, a lot of questions, people, you know, just curious to know how does it work and how they can learn more. So we will have your website and your Facebook group, because I personally have to say the Facebook group is very active and it's very, very valuable. We provide a lot of information there, so definitely check it out. Yeah, so if you want to say anything else.
I'll see you in Goa on the next trip, because that's my, we were going to Goa. We were booked, we had the accommodation, we were flying into Goa, and we didn't get there, so I guess we're going on the next trip, Goa for a week.
Let's do it.
I'm joining you guys.
Let's do it. Yeah, I guess we all miss the you know, face-to-face interaction and proper partying. So a city like Goa would be definitely on the end side of the India sourcing trip. I'll definitely be there. So I'll be a free mentor if you call me and if you bring me to Goa. All right, so that was amazing. Thank you so much again for being on the show, and I see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Thanks, David. Bye.
Thanks to you.